Looking at it now. We have an update on that story. A 19-year-old young man, he's been arrested and charged with felony vandalism and inciting a riot at that Trump rally in Costa Mesa, California. Congressman Brad Sherman, Democrat from California, is with us now. Congressman, these are Democrats in California. Is your guy? Well, they are, sir. They are Democrats, and they are turning violent.
Have you checked their party registration? Are they Peace and Freedom? Are they Democrats? Are they Libertarians? You don't know, but what I do know
They're on the left.
Is that your pictures here are not balanced and fair. You're showing those who are anti-Trump supporters. Show the Trump supporters in their Klan garb. Show Donald Trump temporarily accepting the Ku Klux Klan endorsement, and you realize that there's one thing we can agree on about Trump, and that is he's pulling this country apart and showing the worst of what it is to be in America.
The violence
we need a
that we've
candidate
seen
who will
so
bring
far,
us together.
The violence that we've seen so far has been from the left, Congressman. I don't know.
You haven't. Wait a minute. What are the bloody and battered of those who have shown up at Trump rallies? But don't ignore the Klan violence. They have lynched, they have killed, they have tortured, and now you have a Klan supporter in robes supporting Trump. You don't show that on your network because, well, maybe you're not fair and balanced.
Will you disown those violent protesters from the left who did this in your territory?
Well, first you ought to disown the Ku Klux Klan supporters of Donald Trump. But second, I would say that those who are protesting at Trump rallies...
Sir. Donald Trump did.
No, I'm asking you.
Disavow any association with the Ku Klux Klan. He did.
Right, but more recently we have a Klan supporter on television in garb endorsing Trump, and you're asking what I'm going to do. I asked you to disclaim the Klan. Well, but talking to those demonstrators, they should put their efforts into effective means to defeat Donald Trump at the polls. And it's much harder. It's much more fun to go out there and scream and yell and point obscene fingers and whatever. People who don't want Donald Trump to be president should be registering voters in Nevada. They should be making calls. They should be doing the hard, boring, and effective work that it takes to win elections. So I'll agree with you that those folks out there demonstrating are doing it for themselves and not as part of a well-organized anti-Trump effort.
What do you make of that video, and we've been showing it, of young children, I think they're maybe 10 or 12 years old, giving the middle finger to a car that drives by with a Trump sign in the window, and Mexican flags in the background? Let me draw your attention to that. Mexican flags in the background. Do you think that's legitimate use of a foreign flag to protest an American presidential candidate?
I think when the Klan endorses a candidate and they put that on air, and you won't talk about it, you won't put it up on the air. The fact is,
because it's nonsense. Because, Congressman, Donald Trump has disavowed any connection with the Ku Klux Klan. And if one guy stands up in Klan robes, that's not the equivalent of what we've seen in California and what we saw with those young children and the Mexican flag. No, it's not.
The Klan kills people. They kill people today. They kill people throughout our history. And if you want to equate raising an American flag to wearing Klan uniforms, that is completely...
Do you think they're equivalent? One guy in Klan robes says he's a Trump supporter, and that's the equivalent of these kids being obscene, waving Mexican flags, and all of this stuff that's going on in violence all around the country directed by the left against Donald Trump. You think there's an equivalency there? I don't.
It's not one Klansman. The Klan, with its Grand Wizard on television, with the Trump accepting for a while temporarily David Duke's support, pretending he wouldn't, then taking it, I would say, yes, there is no equivalency. Waving a Mexican flag is not an effective way to beat Trump, but hearkening to the days of lynching and murder is not an effective way to bring this country together.
Okay. Congressman Brad Sherman, we always appreciate you coming on the show and addressing the issues directly, and you did.
Show the Klan pictures.
We appreciate you being on the show. I think it's apples and oranges. Totally apples and oranges. But that's another story. Congressman, thanks a lot. And coming up, we've got a guest who was on the road with Donald Trump. He says the people in the crowds are very different from what's being reported. Fair and balanced. We'll get details for you in a moment.